This episode of the PC Perspective Podcast is brought to you by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/PCPer and enter code PCPer. Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 421, being recorded on October 12th, 2016. I'm Ryan Schraub.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malentano.
And I'm Sebastian Peak.
Hey, look, it's Sebastian, everybody.
Hey.
Alan forgets about Sebastian every time.
Because I went like 5 years being the bookend, so you know.
But you know what? Now you're like the cheese in the sandwich.
You're
not the meat, but you're the cheese.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Are you calling me white bread?
Lettuce.
Who's the mayonnaise? You know, on second thought, don't answer that question. I don't even like mayo on my sandwiches. I
don't like mayo on that kind of sandwich.
Oh, so it's Josh then.
Oh, right, yeah.
Are you sure mustard? I'm not the mustard?
I'm a mustard guy. I like mustard. No calories in mustard, and it stains very easily. So let's get into stuff that happened this week. So everybody's back. I was in Florida last week. God, that feels like it was a month ago that I was in Florida.
You should go on vacation and relax a little bit.
Yeah.
I did, actually.
That was 2 weeks ago.
I did do...
No, wait.
No, that was last
a
week.
week ago.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it blows my mind that it was...
See, even for me, and I wasn't there.
I came home Thursday night. You had already left for your weekend trip.
Weekend in New York.
And now it's Wednesday again. It boggles the mind. I did do pretty well. I didn't do a whole lot of work over there. I did a bunch of emails and podcasts and Twitch and all that type of stuff. But
product testing.
I did do some product testing of that laptop. That's true. I haven't taken it out of the box yet. It's funny, when I did Twitch the next day, I was doing the same kind of demo. Every time I moved it, more sand came out onto this laptop. So I'm almost 100% positive inside the keyboard of this there's sand and stuff. So
that one's not rated.
You want to buy this one? It's used.
No.
No? All right. It's worth a shot. Welcome to the show, everybody. We record our podcast on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. PCPer.com/live is the URL you can see that at. If you're listening to this after the fact, it's pretty fun. Show up at night if you're not doing anything and hang out with us. We do pre-show, post-show. We curse a little bit more in those sections. We talk about things like
Star Wars,
AT-ATs, and can we call them AT-ACs? That sounds dumb.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. AT-ACT? AT-ACs?
It's just a bad name.
Because now it sounds like AT-AX or something.
Yep.
Right?
Let me
ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. If you need a gentle
EATX.
Yes. There you go. Yeah. ATMATX.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a smaller version of the all-terrain.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
PCPer.com/subscribe takes you to this page here. It's basically just a short notifications list that will send you an email when we're going to do a live stream, whether it be our podcast or some other event, which we just do. It's mostly podcasts, so you usually just get one email a week from us saying, hey, come join us, PCPer.com/live, and here's the time and all that type of stuff, and here's an idea of what kind of crap we'll be talking about. Need to sign up for that. And then, obviously, we still have our Patreon campaign running here. That is at patreon.com/PCPer. And this is a way for people who enjoy the shows we do, enjoy the reviews we write, and don't want our website to look like that again, to kind of directly contribute to us, right? If you run ad blockers or you just think, hey, this is pretty cool, here's a few bucks a month. It is a recurring contribution. We greatly appreciate it for everybody who has already signed up. And as we always do on the podcast, if you sign up to become a new patron during the show while we record it, and or you increase your contribution during it, I will read off your name off of my cell phone for whatever you put in the name field. And most of the time people think of really funny things to say here. Oh, nothing yet today. Sometimes before I even get there, somebody has done that, but not
just like
not
waiting
yet today.
As soon as you mention it.
It's like they wait all week for Wednesday to increase their Patreon contribution by $1.
Sweet.
Which is fine, which is good for us.
Fine by us.
A couple of other housekeeping notes at the beginning. One, we have a virtual LAN party number 14 on October 29th. Is that right, Jeremy?
It is absolutely correct, and may even go into the 30th if it proceeds as usual. These guys can be very long, so make sure that you pack your beverages and snacks before you show up or you're going to miss out. I just head on over to the forum post that's linked to in that post, which gives you a list of the games. Just please put your name in there so that Lenny and the guys know that you're coming. And you can also make some suggestions for games, although we're probably up around 24 suggestions already. So chances are we've already covered it. But if we haven't, throw your name in the hat.
Battlefield 1 coming out this week. Or coming out Monday, I guess, technically. So
and Titanfall 2.
That should be exciting. Those
what's your call it? Skyrim Special Edition. Enhanced Edition, whatever they call it.
Not a multiplayer
it's what, the 23rd?
game. I don't know. Wait, are they making it look better?
Yeah, they're new.
Are they giving them
textures, new shaders?
All those mods rolled up into one updated
Pretty
edition.
much.
Oh God!
If I can't have Thomas the Train be the dragon in the opening sequence, then I think it's a failure.
That was so epic.
It's a good thing.
Randy Macho Man Savage was pretty damn good too.
Yeah, I could see that. All right. And then our final housekeeping. Did we say a date for that? October 29th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Be there or be square.
It's a lot of fun. We'll have prizes and stuff to give away as well. And then we don't have it in the rundown here, so I'll just... Oh, no, you did. We switched to it. It's our last housekeeping thing. We are hiring a video producer / editor. We're looking for somebody to take on that role.
Is there something you need to tell me?
Ken is fired after this episode.
You're
Sorry. We're looking, and the key here is that this needs to be a local thing. We're looking for somebody that can do like video production, actually record when me and Alan talk about our random crap, be able to take pictures, edit video, create animations, do motion graphics, YouTube channel management. If you don't have all those capabilities, it's okay. It's something you can kind of learn into as long as you have a basic understanding of like how Adobe Premiere works. That's a pretty good starting off point. Photoshop, After Effects are benefit. If you know about cameras and stuff, that helps. Experience with all that is a plus. And if you're familiar with review structure and like how computer hardware works, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably
in there.
qualifying in those ranges. You can go to the website. Actually, just send me an email. It's rshrout@pcper.com. Actually, I think Ryan at pcper.com works as well. After all this time, I had forgotten I had done that. We're looking for somebody who is local to us. So that's like greater Cincinnati area, northern Kentucky area. I don't know how big our listening audience is in this locale. This is something that's probably going to like start in kind of like a part-time deal. Like, okay, hey, we need you, these 3 days for 5 hours a day or something like that. But as things ramp up, I imagine it will increase above and beyond that too.
You can ignore that email from a John Waldrop in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Not local.
It's a hell of a
I think
commute.
that guy said he wants to commute. Yeah.
There was one guy who said he was going to commute from England. I believe it was. He said,
Yeah, he posted the flights.
Yeah, he tweeted like the commute flights. It was only like
5,000 pounds.
5,000 pounds each way or something like that, or for the round trip.
He wanted reimbursement, I assume.
Oh yeah. He said if commutes were covered. So I'm gonna like my next step after this is to like go to Northern Kentucky University or University of Cincinnati and try to like get into their
Just roam the halls.
Like no,
Just go strong arm.
just go get into their co-op programs and do all that other random stuff. But like if we just find a person that listens to the show, reads the website, happens to be local, has free time, wants to do some of this type of stuff, that would obviously be better. And like I said, dream job, next exit. It's dream job. Because soon you'll be working out of a church.
Yeah.
Instead of just this random office.
What could be more dreamy of a job than that?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. All right, let's get into our hardware discussions for the week. First up, Alan's going to talk to us about... We talked about it a little bit last week.
We talked about it a lot of it last week.
Did we? Yeah, you did go into a lot of it because I kept trying to make you stop because you were going to have a review up
Remember that
next week.
3rd gen 4-bay Drobo we reviewed? Like a year and a half
I believe this
ago?
is exactly how the conversation last week began. What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I was trying to make it short for you.
The Drobo 5C.
Yep. It has
DAS.
a USB-C port in the back, even though it's only USB 3.0, 5 gigabit.
DAS. What's it? Desktop attached storage?
Yeah. Like direct attached storage.
Direct attached storage. Okay.
But
So then, rather than call it an external unit or something like that, DAS is fine.
Yeah, it's direct attached. That term has been thrown around for a while in the storage.
So it's a Drobo. It looks just like a normal Drobo here, except it's 5 bays instead of 4.
Right.
You get one of the things I think we maybe gloss over it sometimes when we talk about Drobos is the key of a Drobo device is that it just freaking works.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
You throw the drives in it. You
put-
might get prompted, like when you first set it up, you might get prompted through a couple of things to just hit OK through, basically.
Yeah.
But that's it.
right.
Like, and then you're good to go.
And all you have to do is pay attention to these lights on the front of the device.
Yeah.
Right? Like green is you're great. Yellow is, hey, that hard drive's getting a little bit close to full. Red
Yep.
is it's full or it's dead.
Yep.
Right?
There's even a guide on the back of that front cover in case
Yeah.
you don't know
In case
what
you
the
can't
lights
remember
mean.
green.
Yeah, in
yellow,
case
right?
in case the lights were not, intuitive enough. Yeah, USB-C connectivity. I think that they were trying to do that for a while. I believe they wanted to have like USB 3.1 or just, whatever the brand new stuff was. But I'd assume they had probably some kind of like compatibility issues, which have kind of plagued them in the past with like, the 5D and stuff. And
Yeah.
other Drobos have had USB 3 chipsets that were kind of like, like the compatibility wasn't great.
They weren't they were awful.
Yeah.
They were
you
really
had,
bad.
You had first-hand experience with one of them.
Yeah. I was really excited to get like the first USB 3 Drobo. No. I didn't have USB 3
did
one.
the
I had the
N.
Gigabit Ethernet.
It was the FS.
It was Gigabit.
Oh, that was the really old.
it was the
bad
Gigabit-
one.
It was the first network one.
It was
and
Gigabit Ethernet
Yeah.
limited to 30 megabytes per second.
on a
Yeah.
good day.
because
It was-
they
because it
used
was
a
USB
USB Gigabit Ethernet adapter internally, and I was like, "How's that pass? How's that
Yeah.
get through this discussion?"
Yeah.
with
We
people?
suffered under that thing for quite a while.
We did.
Well,
we did.
Thank goodness that's pretty much a thing of the past. And so this one gets like 200 meg per second speeds, which is the same as what the 4-bay model that it's replacing does.
So it's USB 3. It happens to use Type C on it,
Yeah.
but it comes with a Type C to Type A cable, so you can just plug it into any normal USB 3.0 port on your PC.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And if you have, if you have whatever that MacBook model is that you need Type C, then hopefully you have a Type C to Type C cable.
You mean the MacBook?
The MacBook.
Yeah.
Like the only, yeah.
Now, the software side of it, like you install a Drobo app on your machine, you don't even really have to.
To set it up, you do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. To tell it to format the,
Okay.
the drives and everything to get it going.
It's incredibly intuitive. It's super easy to use. Like if you look at the screenshots, it's basically telling you like here's how big the capacity is in each bay. Alan had populated it with 5 different 8 terabyte hard drives.
Yep.
And it gives you an idea of
There's your layout,
Here's your layout. You have 28.9 terabytes of addressable media. 7.4 terabytes is used for protection. So that's like your
It's like a RAID 5.
what's that other drive? It's the
Parity.
Parity drive. Yeah. But it's their own custom thing. It's not actually a RAID 5.
No, it works way different. The principle is the same, but
Yeah.
how it actually is implemented.
And the cool part is you can literally
you can mix
to
and match whatever
you can pull
want.
out a drive at any time and put in a new, replace it.
Yeah.
Right. And like for example, we have he has 4 8 terabyte drives in there, but if you just bought 3 8 terabyte drives and put them in there,
Yep.
it will absolutely work and it will do parity.
Yep.
Right. And then you put another 8 terabyte
Yeah,
drive.
later
How much
on.
capacity would you gain? Like 6?
8 more.
You actually gain 8 more? Or does some of that have to go? Does the parity
No,
increase?
it's just one drive worth or 2 drives. You can do double redundancy, and you give up 2 drives worth of capacity.
Oh, okay. So if you had
right?
3 drives in there, you'd only have 16 terabytes of
Available.
addressable.
Yep. But if you add one more and you're still single parity, you get that whole drive worth of.
And then you can just add another one into that and increase it again. And and if you can mix and match sizes too, right?
That's also a thing that's unique to
Drobo.
Drobos, right?
So if you have 2 4s and a 6, and then you can add an 8,
Yeah.
you can do that, right?
you can.
What do you lose for that?
Well, I mean, it's not like a perfect. You might not get, because realize if you have like 2 4s and a 6, and then you add an 8, and you're on single redundancy,
Yeah.
it has to be able to handle the whole 8 terabyte drive failing.
So it has to take up both of the 4 terabytes.
Yeah, you don't get nearly as much as you think.
Right, okay.
Right. Because it's not as efficient when you have mixed match sizes. But
So it's still best to do.
They have a
all
really
the
nice calculator on their website where you can figure all this stuff out. If you
Yep.
just put in what
That's
capacities
true.
you want and then
And
single
just-
or double.
And just remember,
parity.
I know it might be tempting and be like, oh, I could just throw any old drive in there. Well, if you throw in like a 1 terabyte drive from 6 years ago or something, and it's a really slow drive.
Yeah.
Well, now anytime you're doing any kind of large transfers to it, it's going to have to keep touching that really slow drive in addition to all your other newer, faster drives.
Yep.
So that's just going to kind of be a bad apple, and it's going to slow down everything overall. right?
Fair enough.
So you can still get the capacity out of it, sure, but it might affect your performance negatively if you have one really slow old drive in there.
So you're kind of looking at, you said 200-ish megabytes per second.
Yeah.
Pretty standard for an external USB 3 hard drive based device, not a USB 3 SSD based device.
Sure. I mean, it's even in the ballpark of like SSD devices, but just this is not going to have the random access performance that you would get out of a SSD that was connected over USB.
This seems like for our purposes here, we do a lot of video editing, and like this would be a perfect device to set on a desk with a video editor that like. Maybe it's not your working drive. You want to have an SSD for your working drive.
Yeah, it should be the second thing that like you do your video export to or something like that.
Or if you need to like quickly grab an asset from it and use it in a project, it's accessible at 180 to 200 megabytes per second or whatever. Yep. Right? Much faster than over a network.
Yeah,
it's twice as fast as over a network.
One like this there is like a 5D model that they've put out in the past that has like an SSD in it that does some caching of random stuff.
Yeah.
This model does not have that. Granted, this model is almost half the price of that other one. So with this one, you just have to keep your transfers a little bit simpler, more straight line speed kind of stuff, just bulk transfers to or from it. As long as you're doing that kind of stuff and you're not trying to edit a whole video project right off of the thing, then you'll be fine.
If you put an SSD in one of the bays, does it still support caching? Or does it just add it to the pool?
This one doesn't have that in its firmware.
Okay.
I mean, you could just fill it with SSDs and it would go faster.
Sure.
But
be kind of a waste.
Yeah, it'd be faster random access. The sequential, that's pretty much your limit, is that 225-ish meg per second.
Because that's not limited by the hard drives. That's limited by the controller and all that stuff. Okay. You mentioned pricing it being half the price. This is $350.
Yeah.
Which is the same price as the 4-bay model it replaced, but this one is faster than the 4-bay model. No,
it's a little bit faster.
But you just get an extra bay.
You get an extra bay, same launch price. Now, granted, the 4-bay model was almost immediately like super cheap.
$267.
Like when we did their review of the 4-bay, it was less than $300 the day we reviewed it, which was like right at the launch.
Okay.
So this one, I think it's going to stick at $350 for a while for all the 4-bays to clear out of stock, because Drobo will no longer be making a 4-bay unit.
Right.
This replaced that one. There is no more 4-bay. I know that was like the original Drobo, right? Was that 4-bay? That's why that was kind of a confusing name. Yeah, the original one was USB 2. Yes, and you only get a whopping 30 meg per second out of it.
Hell yeah.
But even back then, that was a big deal how flexible it was. As far as, you can mix and match drives, and you can, just pull a drive out.
It was incredibly interesting from a technological and like ease of use space. And to be honest, like nothing has kind of come into this space to compete against it in terms of like
not that elegant.
Buy it, install 5 hard drives, never have to worry about it again.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Yeah,
like
and this
easy
one,
day one.
This one's using the newest version of their Drobo FS or their not Drobo FS. What the heck's the name of their actual?
Like their file format, extension?
It's escaping me right now. But basically, that format can now support 64 terabyte partitions. And the partition, or the volume that it makes.
Okay.
Right?
So that would be, technically that would be what? 9 8-terabyte hard drives if you had a 9-bay device?
You just can't physically fit that in there yet. But, it's kind of future-proofing. Right, because when you initially set up the Drobo,
we know of 10 terabyte hard drives, right?
Right.
So we can get 40 terabytes.
You could get 40 in there.
System
yeah.
right now.
But when you first set this up, it intentionally makes a volume that's the largest it can support, even if you don't have that much space worth of hard drives installed.
And then it grows into it.
Yeah.
As you add drives.
And so this presents
like my pants.
This presents to Windows. you could have 2 1-terabyte drives installed in this. When you set it up initially, it's going to present to Windows as a 64 terabyte USB device.
Okay, I have seen that kind of stuff before.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Infinite storage.
Well, it does
That's
that.
right.
It just it does that so that
that's kind of confusing. So when you look at it in Windows, does it show it as like your percent full based on
it's
60?
out of 64 terabytes, yes.
That's not useful.
But Drobo dashboard and
it gives you the real data.
And the lights on the front of the unit, which we didn't have them all lit up on here, but there's a row of blue LEDs across the bottom.
And
shows
capacity.
They grow, compared to the capacity of the drives that remains.
I still have a Drobo in my house.
You probably do.
It's unplugged because I disassembled that room when my daughter, became a person.
Yeah, so it does that so that you don't even removes one more step, right? Because even if you went through all the rigmarole of trying to expand a regular RAID, like hardware RAID card type of RAID, which I've done at home, and it's taken a long ass time to do. You have to wait for the rebuild to finish. It has to rebuild everything, regardless of how many files are stored on it. It could be empty. It still has to rebuild and read all drives front to back to do that process, right? Drobo only rearranges what's actually stored on it. It keeps track of what has been used out of that volume, and that's all it has to reshuffle around or rebuild if a drive fails or anything like that, right?
Does Drobo have anything in this that allows you to make it a network drive or like a public-facing drive or something like that yet? Is there anything
for their DAS units, for the direct attached ones? They're relying more on just user sharing for whatever the
like Windows sharing,
Samba baby.
Yeah, just Samba.
So like you could hook this up to a machine here, share it to anything else in the local network.
Yeah, you can make a regular network share out of any system.
I asked this only in a completely like for my own use when we move into this damn church finally.
Hey.
When I move into this
blessed
graced church, I want to put a device like this on that network, on that gigabit connection.
Yeah.
And not have a storage thing at home. Like not have a mass like a Drobo at home. Like copy everything to it.
Okay. Oh, you mean remotely from your house?
Yeah. I mean, you have to set up like a...
There's other software that handles stuff like that.
VPN or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like dumb. Anyway, so that's the Drobo 5C.
Yep.
Which I guess stands for USB Type-C.
USB Type-C.
There you go. All right, let's talk with Sebastian. Sebastian, you still with us, sir?
Let me unmute my microphone.
That's a good idea. That's a great idea.
I'm still here.
All right, great news. You reviewed the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus for us.
I did.
So, what do you think?
I think that they are slightly better in many ways than the phones that preceded them, and then in one big way, obviously, they are not as good.
So how hard was it to drill the bottom to get the headphone jack?
It wasn't hard. The first drill bit I used wasn't sharp, and then I got a better one.
Aluminum's pretty soft.
It was a really bad drill bit.
You get the carbide tip, the tungsten drill bits.
Yeah.
Are those the ones that are 99 cents?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's kind of... I found it a little bit hard to approach this because you're looking at such an incremental...
No, that's the plastic thing.
Oh yeah, that's
where you peel it all off.
Of course, there's not a hair on that phone.
Those are unboxing photos.
Yeah,
that you're looking at.
So what's the hardware wise? Both these phones have a new SoC from Apple, the A10. I think we've talked about it a couple of times in the past when they launched these phones. They are they're quad core devices. 2 big cores, 2 little cores, somewhat similar to the ARM big little design infrastructure, but there's clearly some differences in terms of the efficiency.
Yes, they're only using one pair of cores at a time, and it seems that whenever you're using any application, any kind of bursty speed where you're just using the interface or launching something, it's always using the more powerful cores. The pair of high efficiency cores run at about a fifth of the speed according to Apple. We don't have exact numbers on this or the exact handoff procedure or what actually triggers this. I would assume that the low power cores are used for background processes and managing your phone when the display is off, but I'm not going to jump ahead, but the battery test kind of showed that these cores, which are running at 2.34 gigahertz on this new SoC.
It's pretty high.
Yeah. Are possibly consuming a lot more power than previously. And I found it very interesting that Apple appears to only be using TSMC for this SoC, where last year they had it split between Samsung and TSMC, and they were built on 2 slightly different processes.
Right.
They were split between TSMC's 16 nanometer and Samsung's 14 nanometer FinFET, I believe.
I would assume that no company really wants to dual source like that. Dual sourcing is good to create competition and maybe lower prices against both foundries, but you probably don't want that kind of variance in your product.
No, I'd never heard of. Has anyone ever heard of the same product being produced at two different foundries on two different process nodes?
Josh can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think ever on like a leading edge process, right? Like a high performance part. Like probably when you get into things that exist inside TVs, you got 90 nanometer and you just 90 130, whatever you want to do.
There was that one phone.
Hey, could you please mute Josh while he's clearing his throat over there? It's really obnoxious.
ATI had multiple products on different process nodes back in the day.
But they weren't the same product on different
Yes, they
process.
were.
No, which ones?
They used
I'm looking it up right now. You're live.
SMC and a TSMC process that was essentially identical.
Yeah.
It was the X800 series.
I don't believe you. Now, what I do remember is them having like maybe a flagship on one and the other ones on different ones, but I don't remember them splitting it. You might be right. I'll look, but continue.
Hey, Josh, while you're talking, can you please answer this question for me? If they stuck with 16 nanometer, their previous product was 1.84, 1.85 gigahertz. They made a 500 gigahertz jump to 2.34.
500 gigahertz?
Whoa.
Sorry, megahertz.
Uh-huh.
To make a jump of 500 megahertz on the same process node, is there any way to do that without significantly increasing power?
Yes.
Okay.
Because, a couple of things. One, when they first did that 14 and 16 nanometer, they were early process generations. TSMC has improved theirs to, I think it's a LPP or Pro. I can't remember exactly. It's a LP Plus. But it's an improved version of that early 16 nanometer. And so you've got better design tools. You've got a lot more experience with the 16 nanometer node, and you've got improvements from TSMC to do all that. And when you put them all together, yes, getting 500 megahertz more out of such a thing is entirely possible.
Okay. I kind of wondered if that would be the answer, because obviously 16 nanometer is quite mature now, a year later, but I still think this phone does tend to consume more power under load than the A9.
I mean, it's all circumstantial. No, that's not the right word. But like, Ken noticed that it seemed his phone tended to get hotter than the 6S did. Is that right?
Yeah.
In kind of normal use.
I had the same experience with the Plus and the regular 7.
So it seems likely that's what it is. But Apple is very sensitive to single-threaded performance, so they probably would have been willing to sacrifice a little bit of maybe efficiency to make sure they hit that clock speed necessary. They're increasing their single-threaded performance a bit at a time, which as the benchmarks show, it is still just dominates in those areas.
Yeah, it's the absolute single-threaded king. But if you look at just the few multi-core results I have in the review, it's very near the top. The Kirin 950, which is the current, I think it's the A72 Cortex core. So it's current gen ARM Big Little 8 core.
I mean, if you look at this,
Apple's dual core, because only 2 are active in this test, are still very, very close behind. And in single-threaded performance, of course, they're just crushing everybody.
Right. And if you look at single-threaded, the after the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, the next fastest is the 6S Plus, and then the Galaxy S7 Edge. Right. So there's a significant gap there, and as sexy as multi-core performance looks, at the end of the day, the basics of your experience on the device on this, or even a damn laptop at this point, still is fundamentally single-threaded performance, and how high can it spike and how quickly. So look at some of these other results, right? Like, again, these are all take them for a grain of salt. Like, I don't believe the iPhone 7 is 4 times or 3 times as fast as the Galaxy S7 Edge.
No, and if you're looking at browser benchmarks, that's the most misleading one of all, because Apple has an unparalleled advantage there, because they make the SoC, the operating system, and the browser.
Yep.
So it's being it's being optimized to the point where nobody else can. Like, I know that Qualcomm has their own developed browser. Nobody uses it. If they could test Qualcomm chips on the Qualcomm browser, especially if they had optimized a version of Linux or Android to run on their hardware, it may compete directly with Safari on an iPhone, but they have a huge advantage in performance, at least with anything. I think it's WebKit running on iOS.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed the same high performance with Chrome on iOS, but that's basically the same thing as Safari.
Yeah, it's using Safari.
Yeah. But just to quickly run down what we're talking about with the specs, there is the new processor is the A10 Fusion SoC. So 2 high power cores, 2 high efficiency cores. The GPU is unknown. It's 6 cores. It could very well be the same GPU as last year. That was a PowerVR 7600 GT. And I haven't really seen anything else unless there's an unannounced product from PowerVR, some other 6-core device. They could have made their own.
It's very possible
in-house.
that Apple just gets whatever they want made. And
They usually do. They usually get a weird core count in the current PowerVR generation because
Apple.
They have substantial investment in imagination, I think, at this point.
True.
For it being 6 cores, the same as last year, it did deliver the promised increase. They were saying it was up to 50% faster graphics. They were significantly faster in the same tests. So something happened.
Sure.
One of the biggest things to me is that these phones, which carry essentially the same industrial design as last year, there's some slight differences. There is, a slightly different camera opening. The cameras themselves are larger. They made the most subtle change that most people wouldn't even notice with the antenna bands on the back of the device. The insulators are different. Things that normal people would never even notice. They love to refine and refine and refine. That's what the Apple design team does when they're iterating on the same product. But
almost the same, identical.
Yeah, product. You can look at one generation of iMac to the next, and you're like, well, I guess it's 1/16 of an inch thicker here, and they're using friction stir welding on the front lower bezel instead of a more traditional approach. Yeah. But most people look at it and they're just like, oh, it's an iMac. It looks the same. But these phones, still the same size, 4.7, 5.5 inch devices, still the same screen resolutions. So you're still dealing with 2014 specs, which were not high-end 2 years ago.
Right.
They are decidedly
1344 by 750 for the iPhone 7.
Yes,
and what's sad.
The other one? It is P3 color space now.
Yeah, that was the big change. The backlighting and or composition of the subpixels is different because they now support a wide color gamut up to the new DCI P3 standard. It's important to note, however, that when you're looking at the phone, navigating through the operating system using the web browser, email, that sort of thing, you're not looking at anything other than the same sRGB you were looking at before. The P3 color gamut capability only matters if you're looking at P3 content, something actually encoded with this. The camera app can take advantage of it. So when you're taking pictures with the camera,
you can view
looking at them on your phone, they look vibrant and amazing.
I honestly can't tell a difference. I haven't taken a whole lot of good photos with this camera yet.
I would agree that I don't go, wow.
You'd have to take a picture of a red flower or something and see how deep the red goes and stuff like that.
I think that the saturation of certain colors is what you would notice. I think you get better greens and reds. But I specifically have noticed reds. That's the only thing that really stands out to me as being better.
Not here.
The low light on the camera on this phone. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed that, but I essentially took a photo in the dark outside the other day, and it turned out pretty well.
So
it's noisy, but you could actually tell
it's noisy for sure. So I was
you could see those girls really, really well.
Yeah, I got the zoom lens on. Both to the front.
See, I have the 2X lens, Ken. You miss out. So Alan, you can look at this picture I took. We went to a pumpkin patch with my daughter, and I took a picture.
Is that a HDR? I guess
it's only picture, so I guess not.
No.
It would have an HDR.
But see, here's the
icon.
thing. I took that, and it's like, that's okay. Like, and if you zoom in on it, you can definitely see a lot of the noise. Like, I'm taking a picture of a lit area.
Very dark around.
And a very dark thing. But I also had my A7S II with me, and like I did that thing where I'm going to take the same picture right next to it. Then with this, oh my god, it's such.
It was just not even.
It's not even like. Well, I had a close approximation, and I get it. Like these, you shouldn't have to compare about that. But so many people still talk about the camera phone experience being amazing, and it is really good. But like, there's still. No, I wouldn't even call them corner cases. Like, taking pictures in the dark is something that people struggle with a lot.
Your camera phone isn't as good as your $3,000 camera body.
Right. Well, I'm just saying there's room to grow.
Lens on it.
I'm just saying there's room to grow, and like there's things people can get better at, right? So like when you see something like Google announce the Pixel and they talk about their camera being better than iPhone, people go, why would you even want anything better than that? It's amazing. And you think, well, no,
you
actually,
always want something
you can
better
always
than
get better.
Actually, you idiots.
Yeah, actually, dummy. You can go.
I think the overall camera experience on iPhone is not the best in the industry. I think the camera is fantastic, but if you use an iPhone as your primary camera, you will become accustomed to a slower experience than, say, if you bought a Samsung Galaxy S7.
You think so?
Where the actual process of taking a photo, if you think about, you pick up the phone,
getting into it,
you point at the object. A lot of people don't even bother to tap to focus. They just let it autofocus, and you hit the shutter button to take the photo. Mm-hmm. And on an iPhone, it behaves like a point-and-shoot camera. So it's going to take just a moment to analyze light and distance and focus. Sure. And when you actually tap the button, there is just the slightest delay as the shot is actually taken, and then you can take the next shot. It's not like a Samsung phone where you just point and tap and you're looking at the finished photo on the screen. The problem with Samsung's approach is they favor speed over quality. You will look at something shot at a very high ISO speed with a very fast exposure. That way you don't have to worry about handshake, anything affecting the shot. You get a much clearer picture. But you will get a noisier picture.
Samsung likes to punch their images up. They're not.
Yes,
the
color accuracy.
The colors are not accurate.
Completely off on Samsung cameras by default. I'm sure you could use a pro style camera app and tweak things, but if you're using all stock,
probably.
For example, the two photos that I put in my review that I took with my 7 just at a nearby building, they were shot late morning, so there was a fair amount of sunlight, and still, it was only 100 speed. Everything was just stock using the Apple camera app, but I looked at the EXIF data after the fact, and they were greater than 1/3000th to 1/3000th of a second exposure. If I'm looking at the actual number here, it was 1/3425th of a second at 100 speed. That's incredibly fast. If I were using my SLR with the best lens that I have, I probably would have been in the 320 range, nowhere near even 1,000th at 100 speed to take in that much light and snap that photo. So this backlit sensor, which is their latest generation of the sensor, it's a new 6-element lens. It takes in a tremendous amount of light, and I think the bigger aperture helps. Using an f1.8 for the first time with this phone.
It's pretty impressive. And then obviously you have the 7 Plus where you have the 2x zoom capability, which I have the Plus and I have found fairly useful. Like just in terms of, like 2x zoom, you're not going to like be at a stadium and get an amazing picture out of it. But if I'm like taking a picture of my daughter, sometimes it's easier to just like, as opposed to like going around the couch to get at it, right, or to get at her or whatever, like just hit the 2x button and go type of thing. And it's, when we were taking a hayride at that pumpkin patch, I could hit 2x and zoom in on her face, even though she was really close to me, type of thing. So it was pretty useful, and the quality is identical, right? It's an optical zoom.
Yeah,
it's a secondary lens that is affixed.
It's a totally different camera.
Yeah.
So it would be great if all phones had this as a feature, because I watch and cringe every time my wife takes a picture.
Oh, does the digital
and
zoom?
She slides her finger across the screen to zoom in.
Yeah.
She has an original iPhone 6. every picture she takes like this looks fuzzy and blocky.
Yeah.
And I say, that's just digital zoom. We'll crop it after the fact or we'll just stand closer. But it's just, you hold it up and just slide, and it makes sense that way. If there was optical zoom, it wouldn't matter. That's what the great thing about the Plus is. She has no interest in a larger phone.
Right.
So I cannot get her to get the Plus, but.
So
I ended up giving Kelly the 7 that you sent me, that we got back, rather than returning it.
The all black one?
Yeah.
The gloss black one?
No, it's
that one
It's matte black.
It was matte
or,
black.
sorry,
I ended up
black.
giving it to her.
Padlock.
And
What?
and the reason I finally made this decision was I was looking at the
waterproof.
pictures she was taking of my daughter, and I was like,
Here, just please use this.
you can do better.
Please.
Please take this.
but she won't do any better.
We'll see. We'll see.
So what, Sebastian? I guess you didn't have the Plus when the OS was out that did the depth of field feature.
No, I had
It's
sent
still
it back
not
to
on
Ryan
the public
before
push,
then.
right?
It's on the public beta.
Yeah.
I'm not on the beta though.
Well, you should do that.
Well, I don't.
We
why?
tried telling you, like,
I don't beta my phone. My phone is very important to me.
Of course, what Ken's talking about is the bokeh feature, or it's really a
portrait.
depth of-
simulated bokeh.
Faux bokeh.
Yeah, or a
Jeez,
depth
it's
of
not
field.
simulated.
It's an effect where it uses both cameras
It is
simultaneously
totally
to snap the same
simulated.
shot. Uses the wide angle lens to
merging
capture a
two separate
very
pictures.
sharp.
Yeah. It intentionally misfocuses the other lens.
What do you think bokeh is besides unfocused image?
It's just like it blurs,
but-
it blurs everything, like in that shot, and then it just takes that completely blurred shot that's not focused on anything, and then it like puts that behind the person.
It uses a magic wand tool,
Yeah.
like in Photoshop,
Ooh.
replaces it.
Dodge and burn.
Yeah.
Content aware fill.
Now, to be fair, I think it's a really cool feature, and I'll install it on there so I can try it out when we do some more stuff. But like that Intel, what was that Dell tablet that had the RealSense in it?
the
The Dell
Venue
Venue 8 7000 or
Yeah.
Venue 7 8000, one of
Venue
those.
8 7000.
Like it did that,
Yeah.
right? And it actually had the
Intel
ability.
RealSense camera.
Yeah, and you could like adjust what was in focus, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
When you have multiple cameras, that's an option because you can focus on the background with one and focus on.
Well,
the
and it was
foreground
using a
with
depth camera too, so it could do all kinds of interesting stuff. So any final words on the iPhone? I want to encourage people to go read that review, but we need to move
Yeah,
on. And
I
get
know
some
we
more stuff,
we
so.
spent a lot of time talking about the SoC and the camera, but those are really the biggest changes, other than the switch to Lightning only for audio.
Yeah,
And what I tried to be objective in the review and mention that, of course, every phone has an adapter in the box. The only problem I see with this, really, is that you only have one port on the bottom. If they had switched to 2 Lightning ports or included a splitter in the box, I was really curious how they're going to approach using it in, say, a car where you have an aux input and you want it charging at the same time. They have no recourse.
you still can't
for-
even buy the adapter.
Yeah, you can.
No.
It's not-
So
it's not
right
shipping
now,
yet.
if I want to
What?
listen with
The
headphones,
Lightning splitter.
Oh, the lightning splitter.
Yeah, so you
I
can
think
charge
Belkin
and
was
listen to
gonna be
audio at the
offering
same
one or
time.
Griffin.
The $40 one.
yeah.
It's not even
So
shipping
now
yet.
you're looking at another $40
Yeah,
to do something like what I always did, which was plug my phone in at night and I'm listening to like an audiobook in my earbuds.
yeah.
I can't do that now. It's one or the
I
other.
mean, I was
Just
I
get
was-
your wireless earpods. Don't drop
AirPods.
them. AirPods.
Can
Don't
you,
drop
can
them.
you use? Are you allowed to use Bluetooth during takeoff on a flight?
Yeah,
Really?
I mean I do it.
It's a transmitting technology,
Yeah, I mean
No, your phone only has to be in airplane mode.
which disables Bluetooth.
No, well, you can turn Bluetooth back on and airplane mode
You can
stays
turn
on.
Wi-Fi back on. Also,
Yeah.
it defeats the whole fucking purpose of airplane mode.
No.
Hey, language!
Bluetooth can't even get through.
It's a lie.
Like 6 inches of water.
The-
so I'm not
I'm
really
with
worried.
you.
The
about
airplane is literally transmitting Wi-Fi as it is moving. I think you
know.
can have a Wi-Fi radio on.
it. I use Bluetooth headphones all the time.
Yeah.
On that. But
Okay, well, with regular headphones
You don't
on
have to
an
worry about
airplane,
it. Yeah, yeah.
like, and my phone was almost dead. Like when I got on the airplane today, so I had it plugged in, and I had the headphones plugged in. And I was like, oh, I couldn't do that on the 7.
you
what
could
the
for
heck?
$40.
And carry an extra thing. with
Someday.
you.
If only they had like wireless charging or something too. I mean, you wouldn't have a wireless charger with you, and it's not like ubiquitous enough to like make up for that gap. But
I mean, I
hasn't- it has- I will say this.
because you have like a battery that has.
it hasn't affected me yet. The only thing that's affected me is that I forgot my adapter when I was trying to use my Bose headphones once.
Yeah.
the very first time I had not taken the adapter out of the box.
I think it's a much bigger deal if you're a heavy headphone listener, and especially if you already have a favorite pair of headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you have a pair of
in that case, I would just leave the adapter on the end of my head.
That's what I did. I bought two adapters, two extra adapters, left one on my Bose headphones.
Yep.
And then it's $9 that it cost me $9 to continue to use the headphones I like.
Yeah.
Sure. And then put one in my backpack just in case.
Yep.
I don't know. So I would encourage everybody to go check out Sebastian's review. I think it's really well done, very well encapsulated the device, as well as performance and what we can get out of it. So I know we talked about that for a long time, so we're going to move on. We're going to have an ad. Before we do that, we have two patron. We have a new $3 pledge from Ryan is the Mayo in the sandwich.
That's for one for Mayo.
And now we know who it is.
The Mayo. And then we also have a new $3 pledge from...
That's going to be good.
Hillary equals gets money from Saudis equals 9/11.
Wow.
I just the thing.
I'm gonna go with mustard on that one.
The thing that gets me is that's not the first time I've had like almost that specific thing. But this is not a modified pledge. This is a new pledge. So there has to be another person who has gone through the trouble of being a patron, and we appreciate that. We will accept your $3 per month.
We will.
Even though I had to say that stuff. All right, real quickly, let's get to our...
PC per can't melt steel beams.
I cannot.
True.
I only have a propane torch, and I don't think that's good enough.
We have arc welding power supplies, but that's not good enough.
All right.
You're all out of thermite.
This episode of the PC Perspective Podcast is brought to you by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses at a fraction of the cost. Casper is revolutionizing the mattress industry by cutting the cost of dealing with resellers and showrooms and passing the savings on to that consumer. Casper mattresses are obsessively engineered mattresses at a very, very fair price. Are we sharing?
Yeah.
We have candy? Ooh. Oh, Sour Patch Kids. I don't want that garbage.
What?
Casper combines two technologies, springy latex foam and supportive memory foam, to create an award-winning sleep surface with just the right sink and just the right bounce, as Josh is very comfortable with. Breathable design, sleeps cool to help you regulate your temperature throughout the night. We have a Casper mattress. It is incredibly soft and comfortable. You can buy it online, completely risk-free. This is the by far the best part about Casper service, right? They understand the importance of like really trying out a mattress and making sure that it works for you before committing. You get free delivery and painless returns within a 100-day period. So you can basically use it for a third of a year, minus a little bit, and decide whether or not you want to send it back or keep it. And they'll come take it from your house. You don't have to put it back in the box or anything and call FedEx. They'll actually come pick it up. And you just there's basically no risk here, right? If you love the mattress, you keep it. If you don't love it, you send it back. It seems like a common sense type decision you guys can make. They're all made in the USA, which is awesome. Free shipping and returns in US and Canada. So, Jeremy, there you go. Free shipping and returns in US and Canada. And you guys can get a Casper mattress for $500 for a twin or $950 for a king size. And if you compare that to industry averages, that's an outstanding price point. You can save an additional $50 off of even those prices towards a mattress purchase by going to casper.com/PCPer and entering the promo code PCPer. That's casper.com/PCPer. Enter promo code PCPer. Terms and conditions apply. And we thank Casper for their support of the PC Perspective podcast.
You know, they've stuck around for a long time.
Yeah.
They have.
It's awful nice of them to continue to support the PC Perspective podcast. I know I sleep better at night knowing that.
I would say it's so nice that everybody should go to casper.com/PCPer.
So you chose to eat the Sour Patch
and buy a new mattress. Every single person listening.
I think they'd sign up. Mattresses in my house.
I think they'd sign up for more ads.
Why do you have 4 mattresses in your house?
Well,
do you have 4 bedrooms?
I do. And my wife decided that they all needed mattresses. Well, and we just, she had a couple before we got married, and I had one.
So I recently got rid of the very first mattress I got when I moved out of my parents' house, out of my mom's house.
So you got rid of that because you got the Casper one?
Yeah. So I
had it stiff as a plank?
So it was in our it was in our guest room.
Did it weigh 7 pounds extra with
all the bed bugs?
Yeah.
It was like 16 years old.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. Every once in a while, when Kelly got mad at me, I had to go sleep on it.
That's what everybody says.
And then her brother was like, "Oh, it's an awful mattress," and I was like, "You ungrateful punk, sleep on the couch." But
well, I mean,
you know how much of me I put into that mattress?
Say again?
I said that is Zach.
No, you're right. I don't put any credence behind his comments or thoughts.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get into news items. We'll try to run through these quick because, as Sebastian said, this was going to be our shortest podcast ever. MSI will also support Kaby Lake processors on all 100 series motherboards. I think we talked about this last week.
Else?
Asus announced it, and they listed like specific firmwares that were going to support Kaby Lake processors. This is still interesting because Intel has never officially announced desktop Kaby Lake processors. We've only ever seen them from like leaks and all kinds of crap.
Okay.
It's all mobile.
Yeah, and all the stuff that's out now, it's been announced, is dual core, 15 watt or 4.5 watt mobile stuff. So clearly, Kaby Lake is coming, and all of these motherboards will support it.
Yay!
I don't know if that's all.
We're
of
working
them.
on the H170s still. Those updates are already. You can already install them.
Oh, these you can. Okay.
H170 doesn't seem to come out yet.
Okay.
Is Kaby Lake still supposed to give you like the same kind of like incremental whatever gain,
No,
roughly?
I mean,
Not even
IPC
that?
improvement won't be there. It's all about frequency improvement. This is the same architecture,
Same node.
same process node, but like they've figured out how to tweak it a little bit so they can get a little bit more clocks in the same thermal or voltage windows, right? So,
this is the Zoom and the TikTok Zoom.
yeah. What did we call
What
it?
do they call it now?
It's a waltz.
TikTok optimized.
Yeah, it's a waltz.
I think is what they call it. TikTok optimized.
That's a horrible marketing term.
TikTok op. TikTok op.
I have a
Really, I
feeling
thought it was TikTok. Damn it, we missed it.
I feel like when they make that move for the higher clocks, then I think like percentage-wise, you probably get less of an overclock out of those compared to
Maybe.
You know,
I don't know.
because they're already kind of. You figure they're probably pushing it a little closer to the edge.
I don't know.
Because they're using the same voltage,
Well, right.
Yeah.
and then you're not consuming any more power.
Yeah,
You're getting
I
a
guess.
boost in clock speed, and so
Yeah.
As long as their design margin is the same that they're when they make them.
I would think
Then
they
you're okay.
would keep the design margin the same.
Okay.
Now, whether or not the process and like maybe the process itself, the changes they make, the tweaks they make to the process might inherently like change it so that there's not headroom at higher voltage.
Right.
Right. But that doesn't really necessarily change what they're getting
Yeah.
at the same voltage. But good to know nonetheless. Now, okay. Somebody's going to have to explain this to me. Intel apparently launched a thing called Stratix.
Okay.
10, Stratix 10 FPGA with an ARM CPU and HBM2, and my mind is kerblown.
Where?
And it looks amazing. I just want one because I think it looks cool. It actually looks like an AMD processor when I look at it. But what am I looking at? Is anybody?
Why are they doing this?
So you got a quad core ARM processor in there feeding data crap to this FPGA.
Okay.
It's attached to HBM memory, so it's got like 1 terabyte per second of throughput.
Okay, that's a lot.
And so in certain workloads, this is fantastic. You can churn through a lot of stuff. Something like what, 10 teraflops? Is that correct?
It is.
FPGAs are really damn fast and very specific.
They're really
things.
interesting.
So,
and
yeah.
Altera makes some good stuff. And there's a reason why Intel bought them. Because this isn't something you're going to see on, like, a video card, obviously. It's not something you're going to see on a desktop.
Yeah.
But for networking, HPC, big server things, stuff that they can actually reprogram the FPGA on the fly and do some really heavy-duty number crunching on certain specific workloads that they can optimize for that FPGA. This is kind of big. And so it's kind of big iron in ways, but yeah, it's what's kind of interesting most to me is that they're using ARM processors rather than like Atoms or other x86 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of unique. But this is the third product using HBM memory that we really get to see.
First with HBM2, I think. Suck it, AMD and NVIDIA.
No. NVIDIA has been shipping HBM2 products.
Have
Correct?
they really? I know they announced
their
that
Pascal
they were. Yeah,
P100.
They aren't shipping the P100.
They're not still?
No. They said like
Wait a minute.
Q1
then
2017.
what are these big servers that they're sending to these guys that supposedly have the P100s in them?
Okay, do you count giving one server to Elon Musk shipping the product?
Well,
Elon does.
there's a couple of them, but yeah,
I
think
mean, you can't buy
it's a low
one.
amount of numbers, but
You
Yeah.
absolutely can't buy one, so I don't count it as shipping.
Yeah, and it'd probably be hard to buy the Stratix 10 too. So,
Yeah.
point made.
So, Intel was supposed to do Xeons with FPGAs. Did they ever end up shipping those? That was like an early this year thing, I thought.
I don't know, Francois. I wish Francois would tell us.
Yeah,
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think they have, though.
I thought some of the V4s were supposed to have FPGAs built in.
I mean, it's an FPGA, so it's not like we can't compare it to a general processor, right? But 10 teraflops of single precision is like, it's higher than the highest in GPU today can do single precision.
With lots of parallel cores working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this is, do they give like a power output at all of this at all? Do they do anything?
No, but it's going to be significant.
It's going to be low.
FPGAs are not sipping power.
So like if you were to make a processor that only did Battlefield 1.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You could make an FPGA. Okay. Maybe.
I guess.
Specific for Battlefield 1?
It's a little broad.
And you can only do it for like 10 watts? That's what they should ship. Like, they should have these things called. Maybe you call them cartridges.
Stop.
And you plug them into like a box that sits in your TV, and it includes the FPGA in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Francois says soon.
Soon.
Maybe you could even store your saved games, meaning it would have to have a battery on it.
No. I don't want to. Memory. Just.
We don't want to get that crazy.
Yeah, we don't have to use batteries if we use flash now. We're moved beyond that. These cartridges.
We can modernize those cartridges.
Put a super cap on it, and you're good.
All of those things are bad ideas. Western Digital in the SSD game again.
Yeah, they're doing it again.
Look, there's a picture of one.
There's
of
some
two,
SSDs,
actually. I guess
some SSDs that they're making.
So they're
it's
launching
not
SSDs.
Silicon Edge.
Oh yeah, they're not Silicon Edge anymore.
They're still
crap,
blue.
though.
It was
Makes me unhappy.
This is
blue.
SanDisk. Is this SanDisk coming into Western Digital?
SanDisk Flash.
Okay, who's doing the controller?
Marvell on the blue.
Okay, so and that's also worth pointing out. Like they're using familiar branding: WD Blue and green.
Yeah,
right.
Which makes sense. Like blue is kind of more of the mainstreamish kind of thing. Green's like the economy.
Are they going to do like a
thing.
WD Black?
I mean,
like higher performance.
They could.
Okay.
Because I know what their M.2 is just SATA.
Yeah, it is N.2 SATA.
Oh, what the beep?
I know. Well, they're going for whatever form factor still has a SATA that's in need of an M.2.
It's Western Digital. They only know SATA.
Well,
that's true. They haven't figured out PCI what?
That's true. NVM what? I don't know what that is.
So, I mean, anything stand out performance-wise on these drives, price-wise on these drives? Like, do we know anything else about them
the price is competitive. It's like 30 cents a gig for the blue.
Okay.
The green should be even lower cost, but
we don't
know yet. We don't have pricing on it yet. The green's going to be like the much smaller capacities, right? 120, 240. The blue goes all the way up from 250 all the way up to a terabyte. And they even offer the 1 terabyte on the, I think they offer the 1 terabyte also on the M.2. I believe. They weren't specific about listing it, but I think they will be able to. It's just a Marvell controlled SATA SSD. We've seen them before, right?
Is there any
the firmware is going to be pretty mature?
Just shut down.
Maybe. The firmware, they're kind of, with this one, their firmware, they're trying to do what Micron did with that M600-ish a little bit, where the cache seems a little bit more dynamic. You know what I'm talking about? Like
I hear you.
SLC, it's TLC, could switch to SLC mode.
Oh, they are doing that in this.
Well, yeah. So it doesn't seem to be like a static cache from what I've read on some of my peers that have already put their reviews out and our results that we have in-house that we haven't published on yet. It was acting like, basically, for us, we got the drive half full, and the writes were pretty much all the time.
No. Your drive was half empty.
Okay, half empty. It was still half empty, but the write speeds were almost immediately going to 300 meg per second, as opposed to like the more 500 meg cache speed, which was kind of weird. But decent specs, like 80,000 random write IOPS, 100,000 random read IOPS, which it actually nailed in our tests.
Okay.
The price is decent. It's an SSD. It has decent ratings.
Let's follow up next week.
Yeah.
With a review. of these drives. Is there any significance in Western Digital just being in this field again? Or is it just like, hey, you have to be in this field because storage, yo?
Well, I feel like when they did the SSD...
This is my analyst coming out.
I feel like when they
storage,
did the Silicon Edge, like, we were saying that same exact thing. Right?
And it was bad.
But that was a horrible drive.
Yeah.
Well,
and it just like, no, it was bad.
No, it wasn't horrible. We used them for a while. They weren't the best, but they were actually
used them
fairly
because
cheap
they
at
were
the time.
They were okay. Yeah, they sent them, so you used them.
It did have a blue label on it.
But, you know, it's like...
Actually, didn't AMD send us a server that had a Western Digital Silicon
32
Edge,
gig one.
a 32 gig Silicon Edge SSD.
Okay.
In it? Not that long ago.
I mean, they came out... I think they were probably okay when they came out, but they were very rapidly outstripped by, or outpaced by, everything else that was coming out that kept going faster and faster then, right? And Western Digital never did anything else with that drive. Like, it was just, that's our model. Like, here you go. There's not a firmware. There's not anything. Just have fun.
Yep.
You know, and they did... I know they did, like, a Black 2. Remember that?
Yes.
But that was a hybrid.
It was two separate drives just in one chassis.
Yeah. And it wasn't
a hybrid.
Well,
it doesn't count as a hybrid.
It was designed to be a hybrid. The software that came with it made it
the software
operate
could
like
make it as a hybrid.
Yeah.
But you could technically have that software could have worked with any two drives.
Was that using SATA Express?
No.
No.
It was only SATA.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But it populated the system as two drives.
They showed a SATA Express
because it was a SATA hub.
They showed a demo SATA Express drive.
It did this weird thing where it would only enable. It acted like a drive that was like a 1 terabyte and like a 128 gig SSD, right? And it acted like a 1.1 terabyte drive.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right? When you first plugged it in, or no,
the good news is
you only saw the SSD when you first plugged it in. You had to install the software to unlock the hard drive. It was just like
it was DLC.
You know, it was just kind of like
it was an
DLC.
You wouldn't download a hard drive, would you?
Do you remember when Intel sold upgrade cards for processors at Best Buy?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so we'll talk about that more in the review next week.
Yep.
I continue to be excited about this for really no reason. 10 gigabit Ethernet.
10 gigabit Ethernet's been a thing for
I know, but
years.
But not for consumers.
It's
not low cost.
Ooh, $249.
A $249 switch from Asus.
How many ports?
Well, it's got 2 that do 10 gig.
Oh, well, that's useless.
Well, it's 2 more than other drives or other drivers of this price.
Okay, so you've got, a server, a file server.
Yep.
You attach to 10G. You've got a backup server, 10G, and then you've got a bunch of 1G ports to, people who are actually actively using the file server.
Yes.
And it spreads out that 10G among the 8 1G ports.
But here's the problem. When you only have 2 of those ports on there, you're just as well with
point-to-point.
With point-to-point, like making a separate network, because most of those NICs that are coming out now, or that are cheap now because they're now prior generation Intel ones that are on eBay for like $120 or $130 or something, they're dual port cards. So you can
dual port 10?
They're dual port 10.
Yeah, they're both
cards.
10s.
But the NIC that Asus is going to put on a motherboard is not. It's only one port.
I understand. Oh, you're saying they're going to put 10 gig on their motherboards as well?
They've already announced
one.
And it only has one port on it. Yeah.
That was super expensive?
Yeah.
Yeah, WS board.
Yes, but if they're launching a Switch,
it will come down eventually.
You're going to see it on more.
I agree. I didn't realize. I'm less excited now that I know there's only 2 ports on here.
Even 4 ports would have been so much better than 2.
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you only have 2, then it just makes more sense to just use the NICs amongst themselves.
I would be surprised if there's not like a 2010 Switch that comes out, which has 4 for $350, $380.
Oh, as opposed to the 2008 model. Okay.
Like I would expect different models to come through, and it's so obviously a consumer Switch because it's unmanaged, right? It just flat out hardware connected. No management. But for a consumer at home, you don't even want to manage Switch most of the time because you got no idea what you're doing to begin with. You just want it to plug it in and work.
Hell no. I mean, the benefit of having this Switch, even if it has 2 ports, is like you're creating a point-to-point connection, but not really. Like everybody else gets to share in the resources, even if they're not running at 10 gig.
So you've got 8
if you're doing
gigs of other ports,
then you have to have other NICs connected to switches.
Yes, you do still have to have.
right?
But for for most people right now, they already have a motherboard that already has a gigabit or a pair of them on it. Mm-hmm. So you just add that NIC to it.
A 10 gig NIC.
Yeah, a 10 gig.
Yeah,
NIC.
but
that's my point. You can buy a pair of 10 gig
But I think
NICs
Josh's example of like you have
that switch.
2 places that you are more concerned about, like high data transfer.
Yeah.
Boom. You do that, but then everybody else gets still normal high speed gigabit.
Yeah.
Well, instead of sharing a 1 gigabit, or you got 4 fused together to that, you've got, for a server, you have 110. So you've got all these guys doing like ArcGIS who's streaming maps and rasters off of the server, and they're getting really snappy performance because they're not all sharing a 1 gig or 4 bonded Ethernets.
Yeah.
And instead you've got a single 10, which is, it's nice in certain scenarios.
Sure.
Yep. Purely internal, because it's not like you're getting 10 gig service yet in North America.
No. Loser internet. We do have another Patreon edition. Abraham Lincoln pledged $3.50 to us, so I appreciate that, Abraham.
It was a stack
the
of
man
them.
who suspended habeas corpus. Way to go, Abe.
He cannot tell a lie.
Cannot tell a lie.
No,
He loves
that's George
PC Perspective, and you should all contribute to the
That
Patreon.
was the joke.
All right, last news story of the week. NVIDIA releases GeForce 37306 drivers. What is interesting in these, Jeremy, I guess? What's...
It re-enables support for SLI in Battlefield 1.
re-enables? It had been disabled?
Yeah, they were having some issues with it.
Oh, okay.
They fixed that. It's
Okay.
also the game-ready launch for Gears of War 4, Mafia 3, and Lo Wang 2. Shadow Warrior 2.
Here's a
Who
little
wants some wang?
hot scoop for you guys before it launches, before it's announced tomorrow. NVIDIA may or may not be giving away a lot of copies of Shadow Warrior 2 tomorrow. May or may not. However,
Just giving them away?
giving them away.
Just like,
Do you think maybe they've been getting people to you had to register some software recently?
no. You tell me I'm going to get
It's
a copy
true.
of Shadow Warrior 2 tomorrow?
I'm not saying. I'm just saying they may or may not.
So,
Don't know, did you use a real email address?
You have to, because you have to validate it.
Yeah, you had to
right?
validate it, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's right, too, isn't it?
Damn it.
Yeah. So there you go. Get those drivers. I haven't tried out Gears of War 4 yet. I've heard good things about Mafia 3.
So you're saying everybody on the stream, like, register your...
I'm not saying that. I'm just
no?
saying they may or may not be giving away games.
Okay.
It's not like this is what they promised when they first launched GFE and told us
That
they
is
were going
true.
to
They
require
did put that
logins.
in
They said,
there.
"Oh, we're gonna give away prizes and contests and give away software and other type of stuff." So now they're just kind of actually maybe finally doing it. Maybe
All
I don't
right.
know. I just heard that as a rumor. Let's get into our hardware software picks of the week. Mine is this cylindrical thing.
What the heck is that?
It
It
is.
looks like an Apple product.
Is it a new Alexa?
It's going to be in a minute. So this is a
Wait,
this is a portable speaker.
what's the other thing for? The hell?
This is just a tube to hold it.
It's the box.
It's the box.
Well,
Why is the box so big?
what?
And then, like, in here, you've got, like, your charger and cable and stuff like that. Your directions on how to set it up.
It's kind of heavy.
It's so, okay, first of all, I paid too much money for this. It's going to actually be returned because I can get it so much cheaper on Amazon. But this is the UE Boom 2 Phantom wireless mobile Bluetooth speaker,
You
waterproof,
bought it at
shockproof.
retail or something?
Yeah, I bought it at Walmart because I forgot my other speaker when I went home. Or
Big
went to
old like
the
volume
vacation.
up down buttons. Like,
Yeah,
there's no.
It's made by
question,
what's that?
Ultimate Ears.
Ultimate Ears, which is owned by Logitech.
Yeah.
This just seems so.
Awesome.
No, it's like, why is this case like? It's,
Protecting the thing. I don't know. It just looks cool, man.
guess.
It's a box. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's got this.
I
got
can,
a hanging
actually,
thing
it's
at the
not a
top.
box.
It's true. It is a container.
So how good does it sound?
It sounds pretty good, actually. And it's waterproof and
Empires sounds when you turn it
shockproof.
on.
It does kind of. It's waterproof and shockproof.
Playing
So-
any music, YouTube is going to shut us down.
I know it will be very quick. And so like I could throw it in the water, throw it down on the sand.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like dropped it down a flight of wooden stairs just to beat things up. I was in a beating things
It
up
is
kind of
rubberized
mood while I was
on
on
the top and the
vacation.
bottom, yeah.
It's waterproof and shockproof. I think it's IP60.
7, I think.
Is it IP67 on the water? I think it might be more than that, like IP67X
How does
or
it?
something.
There's a dust-proof charging port.
Yeah.
Or a little
Gasket.
sealed. Okay. And
yeah,
then
it like
headphone?
unscrews, and it's no, it's a charger port and something else.
It's
but I
not a
can't
headphone
remember.
jack?
I don't think so. You can look though.
You can drill one of those in if you need it.
Yeah, just drill the headphone jacks and everything.
So, hold on. You don't have to get that.
That's decent sound.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna be able to tell over the stream, but it does pretty good for as
pretty
small
good.
of a cylinder as
Stop
it
the
is.
audio.
I'm talking over it. They're not going to catch it.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And the volume gets up there pretty good if you want it to.
Yeah.
You know, when you're at a beach
Wow.
and there's a lot of stuff going on. All right, it actually works pretty well. These types of speakers are expensive. Like this is $167 on Amazon.
How much was the retail?
$199. Right. So, it's
How long did it last you on a charge? Have you like depleted it?
no, actually, I didn't. It's rated at, let's see, waterproof, shockproof, designed for adventure, IPX7 rated, waterproof, up to 30 minutes, and a depth of 1 meter. It actually has the software has some cool capabilities. Like if you have more of these, the software will actually team them all together.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
like
It's
one's the
about
left
time
channel,
someone
one's the
did
right
that.
channel or something?
Like
Maybe?
you can have like up to, I think the software just had an update where you could connect up to 40 of them together.
Oh, so it's not left or right channel. It's
I
just
don't
like,
know why.
they're
Yeah, it's just like
but they're all in
duping it.
sync,
Correct.
which is good.
correct. And so the software, you know, like it's got your positive, negative buttons.
It's just a big plus and minus on the
But it's got
screen.
like your you can EQ on it. You can set an alarm through it.
Okay.
Actually, it has a firmware update. So go ahead, sure, do that firmware update.
Oh, live on the
I
stream.
think the firmware update is to do that support where it can support this mass number of things. It sounds pretty good. And if
It's
you're
just
looking for some
counting-
portable,
just counting up.
that says 5% completed.
Oh,
underneath
okay.
it. The only thing I wish
And
it
it bursts
had
into
was
flames.
some kind of like way to hold it. Like I don't know, some
hold
kind of
it just like
strap or
that.
something. I know, but like when you're carrying you're walking down to the beach as you do when you're on
Well,
vacation.
you could probably
right?
hang it by the screw thing. if
Yeah, you
wanted.
could. Yeah, you could. What did you determine was the other thing?
I didn't take it
Oh,
off.
okay. So 15-hour battery life and 100-foot Bluetooth wireless range. Actual battery life will vary based on settings and environmental conditions, of course. Oh, and it has the ability, like it has this weird capability that if you pick it up, it knows when you've picked it up. If you tap it once, it will play pause. If you tap it twice, it will skip tracks.
Not push
but if
the
you
button,
have
but
it,
just tap it.
Just tap the top of it. And if you have it set down and you do it, it doesn't do it. So it knows when you're picking it up. Looks like it is a headphone port, I guess. Yeah,
I would think they would put that under there. Yeah.
There's some sand in there. Sorry about that, sand. So that's that. That is the UE Boom 2 Phantom. It's available in all kinds of colors as
Not
well.
even a company I've ever heard of.
It's owned by Logitech.
Ultimate Ears has been a company for a long time.
Yeah, they've been
Oh, it's
around for a
Ultimate Ear,
while.
okay.
Ultimate Ears is what it is, and Logitech bought them 3 years ago. So that is where I'm at. Who's next?
This was too funny to not post because I just spotted on Newegg. So for everyone who swears up and down they will never buy Windows 10, they're never going to upgrade, well, somehow Newegg got their hands on a couple more licenses for Windows 7. And it's $50 off.
Why can't I
$40
zoom in on
plus
this?
a $10 code off. So you might as well just buy all of them that you can.
It's I don't know why this screen is getting it cut off, but it's
It always does that.
$169.
Right.
They've changed the link a couple of times on me during this show. I think that people are getting mad at them because this is not something you're supposed to do. But if you look, there's also a $10 code off, or at least there was a little while ago. So you get it for $159. Oh, now it's only for the 32-bit. No.
I think you
Give
can
it
still
give it
install
time.
it.
Windows.
I think you can install the 64-bit either.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can.
All right.
So there you go. If
so
you
you still
refuse
want
to
Windows
upgrade-
7.
Grab yourself a couple of copies.
All right, Josh, what do you got for me?
Me, what do you have? S-Delete, free from Microsoft. You really want to erase that hard drive and make sure none of your deleted emails get off of it. This is going to help you out. May not help with all of the really deep diving things,
Like Hillary.
but it's 151K. It's S-Delete V2. You run it through a command line. You have some nice little
It's made by a guy
-P,
named
-S,
made
whatever.
by a guy named Mark Rasinovich.
Is it wiping the whole drive or just deleting files?
It deletes everything and then it zeroes everything out and.
But the whole drive.
What?
The whole drive is what you're.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it takes a while.
All right, and it's only 151 kilobytes.
And it's free.
And it's offered through Microsoft TechNet, so you know it's probably not a complete piece of garbage, too.
And remember, if you're trying to wipe an SSD, just use whoever's tool.
Use a hammer.
No, I mean, use like the company's tool that they make that gives you this cure erase thing. Because it'll be much less time.
Okay.
We'll
go with that.
Yeah.
All right, Alan.
So I finally bit the bullet and bought this thing. This is I was so impressed with their oscilloscope from Rigel.
You bit the bullet, like everyone was waiting for you to buy this 195 watt power supply.
Well, it's $450.
I understand.
It's kind of up there.
Have you modded it yet?
I just haven't had a chance
to
plug it in my
weld
computer.
with it?
What do you use this for? What do I want?
What I will be using that for is the power testing for SSDs and NVMe stuff.
Okay.
Right, because not only will that provide whatever voltages that you tell it to provide, it's 3 channels, which is actually uncommon for one like these.
All these buttons.
You could spend $1,000 for a single channel precision power supply.
I don't want to do that.
This has 2 channels that basically have the same specs.
Okay.
That a typical $1,000 unit would have just for one channel, right?
30 volts.
So it's 30 volts, up to 30 volts, and up to 3 amps for 2 channels. And then the third channel is still 3 amps, but it's only up to 5 volts.
So it's USB.
That was my speaker connecting.
And his speaker did something. It'll also do logging. It'll since it's the thing providing the current, it's able to give you a real time current.
That makes sense.
It even gives you wattage, just calculates it for you. Here's how many watts the thing's drawing, right?
Right.
It does logging. It does a bunch of other things. The screen is actually color. I'm not sure if you have to unlock it or switch a mode or update a firmware. It's it looked monochrome, but it's not. It's actually a color screen, just like what's on the Rigel scope. What $450 for what is a pretty decent precision power supply with multiple channels. If you have any need to be providing variable voltages to things, for just designing circuits, stuff Ken does, and
bench power supplies are infinitely useful.
Yeah, there's always some kind of use for something that you can just say, hey, I need 3 volts for something. You punch in 3.
I'm trying to figure out if this thing still works. I can't find the right power adapter. Here, this jack fits. Let's cut it off and
basically,
give it 5 volts.
Pretty handy and a very reasonable price for what that. I'm impressed with the Rigel stuff. That scope I was expecting to be just super cheaply made and stuff like that, but totally the contrary. And that was even hackable, and this thing is also hackable. So you can unlock more features to make it even more of a
Did you buy any of these toothbrush heads as well? These are a sponsored product related to this item.
I did not buy toothbrush heads.
Amazon, you so crazy.
Yeah.
All right. And Sebastian.
Okay, so if you have to use a dongle get your audio to headphones from a new iPhone 7, you might as well upgrade. Ooh. So instead of 16-bit 44.1 and whatever tiny headphone amp they have, FiO audio or FiO audio, this is their least expensive option that gives you actual USB DAC functionality and a headphone amplifier. It's only $40 on Amazon. And it isn't just using your average 16-bit cheap DAC. It's actually a 24-bit 96 kilohertz compatible Texas Instruments DAC and a Texas Instruments headphone amp. And on paper, this thing looks like it's going to have extremely good signal to noise ratio. You should get very quiet backgrounds, good volume output, and have the capability if you use a supported app such as the Onkyo HF Player app, which has a premium version that unlocks the 96 and 24-bit music files that are normally not supported on iOS. You have a lot of flexibility. So if you're looking at, one of those adapters or something a little bit better than the little cable that comes with the iPhone,
right?
$40 is not bad. We're talking the same price range as that Belkin adapter to plug and listen and charge at the same time.
Yeah, but isn't this the one that when you plug it in, the iPhone says that DAC is taking up too much power, and so we're shutting it down?
I'm not sure because I haven't tried this one yet. I've tried a couple of these little USB-powered DACs, and here's the catch: is it's not really $40. You have to spend another 20 or so on Apple's Lightning to USB cable, which they call their camera connection kit, which everybody who has an iPhone and is into high-end headphone audio has to buy because all these little DAC amps only have a micro USB on them.
I don't understand why they do that.
I know. I feel like it's got. I was talking to a guy at a dealer 2 days ago about this, and it's got to be margin where they just don't want to pay that little licensing fee to Apple to have a Lightning connector in the box.
Just put a USB-A connector on the back of it instead of a micro.
Yeah, that's true too. From A to micro and just, I mean
you can,
in theory.
Yeah.
But if you think about the daisy chain that you would need to have
I get it.
dual adapter, like you need a dual Lightning adapter, then a camera connection kit, then the micro cable that comes with this, then your headphones, and then you have your Lightning power going off on the other side.
All right.
Sounds like there's a nice market for us to make a micro USB to Lightning cable.
I don't know why it doesn't exist.
Let's just not call it lightning. Let's call it something else.
Thunder.
That's already a thing.
Rain.
Atmospheric discharge. But that
Which
could mean
is not a
multiple
thing.
things.
Thunderbolt isn't real.
Oh.
It's the cloud cable, Ken. We're going to patent it.
There you go.
It's just a empty box.
All right, everybody. That is it for us this week. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, pcper.com/nothing. pcper.com is the URL to find all of our articles and reviews and news and all the stuff we talked about on the show. If you go to pcper.com/podcast, you can find all of our previous episodes, ways to subscribe, all the show notes, direct links to all the stories we've talked about this week, as well as our picks of the week. They're always in there as well. So we encourage you to go check that out. And all the normal things, patreon.com/pcper, pcper.com/subscribe or /live. All those types of URLs are working. And we'll see you next week. We'll talk about more stuff. I won't be here next week.
Okay.
I'll be
Shocking.
out of the country.
You will not talk about this stuff.
I will not talk about this stuff next week. You guys will talk all about this stuff next week.
You will be getting a bunch of Patreon emails.
You can't tell me what to do.
If I get Patreon, it'll be like 10 a.m. where I'm at. That's fine. That's acceptable. I'll
call them in.
I'll call them in. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. I'm Ryan Schraub.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malventano.
I'm Sebastian Pegan. Read more at pcper.com/index.php. Which works. I just tried it.
It does. It does. If you enjoyed this content, consider supporting in-depth technical content by contributing at patreon.com/pcper.